Hey everybody, this is Flavio Romeo, and on this episode of the Towncast, we had the opportunity of talking to heart transplant survivor and the new general manager of the New Jersey Jackals, John Hunt. John shares his journey from starting out in radio when he was 15 years old in Maryland, traveling all across the country, owning his own radio stations, going through his heart surgery, his heart transplant, and then ultimately becoming the general manager of the Jackals. He talks a lot about what they're going to be doing, and we're really excited. We're going to have some special events this year, so enjoy the episode, everybody. All right, everybody, so here we are. We're in the temporary offices of the New Jersey Jackals, and we're talking to the new general manager of the Jackals, John Hunt. Thank you so much.
Good to meet you, man. This is great.
I've always been a baseball fan. Mm-hmm. When we moved from Italy to Hawthorne, New Jersey, you know, my dad was a tailor and soon started altering Yankee players. You know, their suits. Joe DiMaggio was one of his customers.
Okay.
And so we became Yankee fans immediately, and have stayed Yankee fans for, you know, my whole life.
So did your dad work with George Costanza when you changed them to cotton jerseys?
To cotton jerseys? Yeah, that was a failure. He lost the contract. So I've always been a baseball fan, and when I read that the Jackals, so the Jackals have been around for like 25 years, right?
This is our 27th year coming up.
Yeah,
27. You're right on the money.
But it was all in Montclair. It was at the Montclair Yogi Berra Stadium.
Yes.
Down in Montclair.
Correct.
Last year they made the move to Hinchliffe Stadium. Mm-hmm. And just a little bit of background on Hinchliffe Stadium. It opened in the early 30s.
Correct.
And you know, it was the New York Black Yankees.
Yes.
Or the New Jersey Black Yankees.
And the New York Cubans. Both teams played there.
Yeah, why is it that New York teams come to Jersey and they're still called New York teams?
I know.
That's not right.
Well,
you gotta come on, guys.
I know, you got the Giants,
the Jets.
And you used to have, well, I guess they were the New Jersey Nets, and now they're the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, but now we got the New Jersey Jackals.
Yes.
Right?
100% Jersey boy.
There you go. And so the Jackals moved here in 2023. Was their first year in the new stadium.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen the stadium, we're going to try to get pictures. And I mean, it's just amazing what they did. It's been around. It's been kind of not condemned, but it's been nothing for 25, 27 years. That's
my understanding that Hinchcliffe was thriving in the early days, in the Negro League days. They had boxing there. They had auto racing of some kind in there.
Did they really?
I mean, they had small cars that raced around. Yeah. They had all kinds of things in the stadium. But then they decided not to use it anymore, and the school board, I believe, kept it. So 29 years it was vacant. You know, I saw the videos before I came and took the job of trees growing through the stands and graffiti all over the place. But the guys have done the city, mayor, everybody who was involved did a tremendous job of refurbishing this stadium. The old Art Deco look is awesome. It's a beautiful stadium.
Yeah. So Mayor Sag, we had him on the Towncast a couple weeks ago. You know, you and your team and the whole city did an amazing job, you know, bringing it back to life, and now bringing the team to Hinchliffe Stadium.
Yeah, and we love the fact that it is historic. We don't call it just Hinchcliffe. We call it historic Hinchcliffe Stadium.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah, and I did a little research. This is the only baseball stadium in the country that's on the National Parks Registry list.
Correct.
That's
because
historic.
We're right next to the falls. And another thing I noticed that caught my eye right away, I came to a day game, my first game here last year at the end of the season from the team I've been working with in North Carolina to check it out. And you can see the New York skyline on a clear day. You can see the Patterson skyline, and then just beyond that, you can see, you know, the Manhattan skyline from home plate. I mean, what ballpark has the Falls, a national park, on one side, and the New York skyline, and then coming very soon, I was just there yesterday, it's almost done, the Negro League Museum, all in one stadium. I don't know that there's another ballpark that can claim that in the United States.
Will that be opening day?
Yes.
The museum will be.
I was in the museum yesterday. Progress has been made. They're shooting for mid-March for the official opening. I think there'll probably be, what do they call it now, a soft opening before that. I think that will happen a little bit earlier. I know all of that's being worked on, but I saw major progress in there yesterday.
Well, definitely keep us posted because I'd love to come in, do a little live stream, and show everybody what it looks like. So the New Jersey Jackals are part of the Frontier League,
yes,
which is a league of 16 professional baseball teams.
Right, partner of Major League Baseball as well. So this is a higher level than, you see some teams that play independent ball, but their players don't get paid. They're collegiate wood bat leagues. They have a bunch of different kinds of leagues. There are 3 leagues that are considered partners of Major League Baseball. There's the American Association, there's our league, and then there's the league where the New York Ducks are in. Long Island Ducks. The Long Island Ducks, I should say, not New York Ducks. Right. And those guys are in a league. There's only 3 leagues that are partners of Major League Baseball. Okay. Any of the other leagues that are independent are truly that. Yeah. They don't have any connections with Major League Baseball. Now, that being said, we're also not affiliated with any one team in Major League Baseball.
Right, so you're not a farm team.
Correct.
You're an independent league that's a partner with Major League Baseball.
Yes, so they can come and, if they like a player, they send scouts all the time.
Oh, they do?
To our stadium. You're never going to know who they are. They just dress regularly. Sometimes they might have a
they don't have a team jersey with scout on the back?
No, none of that. And sometimes you'll see them with jugs guns, measuring speeds, or little tiny video cameras, and it looked like a regular fan. But, sometimes we don't even know they're coming. Sometimes they ask for special seating or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, Major League Scouts come here and look at our guys all the time with the hopes that they might find a guy that nobody else has seen.
Right.
Find that Rudy, find that up-and-comer, sure. Or the Peanut Boy in Trouble with the Curve, find that guy, and offer us the ability to purchase their contract, and they can move on to a Major League Baseball affiliated team.
Yeah, because these players, they're under contract, they're getting paid, they're making money.
Yes.
Obviously, they're not. It's not Major League Baseball money.
No.
But it's money to play a game that you love
and play a kid's game.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, this is a game that these guys have probably been playing since they were 3, 4, 5 years old. Playing t-ball when they were coming up from wherever they're from, whether they're from the Dominican or Puerto Rico or whether they're from Kansas.
Yeah.
Japanese players. We had a few Japanese players.
Oh, is that right?
On the team. So, it doesn't matter where they're coming from. These kids start early, and it's their love. That's what they've been playing since they were a kid. And they're getting the opportunity to continue to play. Some of them have been maybe previously injured and have made the major leagues and are trying to work their way back. Some of them are just the love of the game they're playing. And some of these guys are up-and-comers, the rookies and the younger players trying to make their way to a major league affiliated team.
Well, the nice thing is they can prove themselves here.
Absolutely.
And, it doesn't take much. Like all of a sudden, you see in the paper, this kid's batting 376 and he's a pitcher. It doesn't take much to get the awareness of these scouts, I'm sure.
Well, nowadays those guys are getting $700 million with $680 third. Playing for the Dodgers, who get all those guys.
Right. So, how are there tryouts? If you're a kid that's in college, you haven't been recruited, you haven't been drafted, you're not in the minor league system. Are there tryouts where they can come and try out? How does that work? How do you find
a couple of different ways. Some of these kids have agents, and they reach out to me or Bobby Jones, who's handling player development and operations for the team. They reach out to one of us. Generally, I give the information to Bobby. Bobby's my player guy. He's 100%. He's awesome, but he's awesome at building a team. That's what he's great at it. And last year he put together an amazing team that tied for the best record in all of the league, knocked off the Sussex County Miners in the first round of the playoffs, and got knocked out by Quebec in the second round. And Quebec they were the team that tied for the best record.
And they won it.
Yeah. I think the West Coast team ended up knocking Quebec off.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, but Quebec is always they're a class organization.
Yeah. So it's very competitive. These kids, it's not like it's not the majors. It's not Sandlot.
Right.
This is a professional league. I'm interested in your backstory. So I learned a little bit about the general manager, And you were a radio guy.
For 40 plus years. Started off at age 15, tiny little AM radio station in southern Maryland, Leonardtown, Maryland.
Is that right?
They had 1,000 watts day, 500 watts night, which meant when I was on the air at night after school, you could only hear me in a 10-mile radius.
The neighborhood.
Yeah, that was basically it. But it gave me a chance to cut my teeth at 15.
Yeah.
And in those days,
years old.
And, well, we had a high school station that we had built from parts from the library. You know, and we broadcast before school, during the morning announcements, at lunch. You know, we got to play music. At that time, it was, you know, you were either playing Boston and Ted Nugent or you were playing the Bee Gees.
Do you remember call letters?
WCHS, Chaptacon High School in Morganza, Maryland. Tiny little one stoplight town.
Right.
That had farms all around the outside of the school. In the spring, you know, they always said it's the smell of money, but you didn't want to open the windows in the spring.
Not on a hot, steamy day.
Exactly.
So how long were you there, and what was your trajectory? Where'd you go after that?
Well, started off at this little AM station, worked 6 to midnight Monday to Thursday. I actually had to sign off. I had to punch out early. And by the way, minimum wage then was $3.25 an hour.
Wow. So you were raking in the money
here. Yeah, exactly. It was love of the game, man, even then. But it started off there. I went later on, about a year later, I moved up to a little AM FM station on the other side of town, still in southern Maryland, where, you know, I worked AM and FM. I was a station rat. I'd sleep on the couch sometimes, you know, take a shower at the station on the weekends because they had a regular night guy. And so sometimes I'd be on the AM side, sometimes I'd be on the FM side. Sometimes I'd sign off the AM station, sleep on the couch, and then go open the AM station in the morning. Because that's how bad I wanted it. And that goes to anything you want to do in life, to the up and coming kids.
100%.
If you want to be a ball player, you want to be a disc jockey, you have to do the work. Yeah. You have to pay your dues, you have to get your stripes, call it whatever you want.
You're sleeping with a bat in your hand.
That part of it. Everybody thinks you're going to walk out of school and you're going to instantly make $75,000 a year. Right. You've got to grind to get to that point. But I'll leave that aside.
And that's anything. It's acting, singing, dancing, you know, whatever it is.
Playing Major League Baseball. I mean, those guys, they all do the work when nobody's watching.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's when you have to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it went from there to, you know, at 19, I got my first out-of-market job. I went to Cleveland, Ohio. Took a station from the bottom of the market to second in the market. Nice. It was a great station there. Now the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is always a fun place to go back and visit.
Yeah.
Actually, I've done the show. I've done my previous show from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was a special occasion, which we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show. But that I got to do a show at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one day, and in Canton at the Pro Football Hall of Fame the very next day.
Wow.
So that was a fun time. That was a 1-year anniversary of a special event, but again, we can get into that later. Then it went to stations in Atlanta, Vegas, Houston, Texas, DC, all around the country. Bought a station. My ultimate goal was to be an owner. I finally bought a radio station in a small town in Southern Oregon, where if you were sitting at the beach, you couldn't buy land right on the beach because the state owns all the land from the top to the bottom of the state of Oregon. So it had to be a little bit off the beach. But within a quarter mile, you'd look off the cliff and it looked like the beginning of Charlie Sheen's 2.5 Men's house.
Really?
You know, that's what people's houses look like there. Now I was about a quarter mile in.
That was your
But that's this little city, and the station was in a little town like that. And we were, you know, I bought it from a Christian station that had a computer sitting in the corner just running the same 20 light jazz songs over and over. I got it for a steal. We built it up. We had a great team there. We were live and local, which a lot of stations have forgotten through the years. You know, actually Jock's there from when I signed on at 5:30 in the morning until the night guy signed off at 10, and then we'd automate only in the overnight.
Right.
It just wasn't cost effective to have somebody that you're paying on the air. So we got to the point where we were actually about to start turning a profit, which any business, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
The local community loved us. We were easily the top station in the community, hands down, because we were live and local, and we played what we called the most eclectic mix of all that rocks. So we played everything from the Beatles to current music that wasn't screamo or sleepy. Right, pretty much everything in between. Yeah. People just loved it. And I got sick during that time and got what they thought was the flu. Small town hospital, great doctors there, but they didn't have the equipment to really properly diagnose this flu. And I went to the hospital 12 times. They would duress me. They would take fluids out of my chest because I gained 25 pounds of water weight.
Really?
It's still your flu. It's still your flu. We don't know what the deal is. Go home and sleep.
How long was this going on?
It went on for a couple months.
Wow.
And the 13th time, I was doing a live broadcast remote. And I called my engineer and I said, hey, can you come pick up this equipment? I'm exhausted. I'm going to go home and go to bed. He goes, no, this has been going on too long. Go to the emergency room. So I did. I checked in with a blood pressure of 60/40. I walked in on my own power. I'm making jokes. I'm talking to the doctors. And they're like, we think our machines are wrong. How did you walk in here with a blood pressure that low? And we're going to check you in. Check me in the hospital. I woke up 6 days later, 2.5 hours away in Portland, Oregon, at a hospital called OHSU, Oregon Health Sciences University. 6 days later, I wake up and they're like, welcome back, Mr. Hunt. By the way, you died twice. They brought you back to life. You flew in a helicopter, and now your kids are on the way from D.C. My kids are grown. They flew in from D.C. They were about to land when I woke up, but my kids came in thinking they were coming to tell their father goodbye. Because I'd been in a coma for 6 days. And I'm like wires and stuff coming out of me in every place, and they're like, we think, at the very least, you're going to need some work on the heart. We really think you're probably going to end up needing a heart transplant. So I went through the journey 2 years to get to be listed. It took me 2 years to get listed because the rest of my body was healthy. I mean, we're talking, I was in decent shape.
So they weren't.
And so it was all the heart. It was like having a good-looking car with a crappy engine.
Right.
They're like, we're just going to replace the engine. So they did. They gave me meds. They kept me on fluid restrictions so that the heart could work easier. And they're like, we're going to just see how long this lasts. I'm an AB positive blood type, which is rare, but sometimes can be good.
So they need a heart from another AB positive person.
Well, actually, an AB positive can receive an A, a B, or an O.
Oh, okay.
But
that's like a wild card.
But an AB positive can only donate to another AB positive.
Okay.
So I ended up having to get transferred from OHSU because there were some problems inside their program. The doctors pretty much left. And so I'm now transferring to the University of Washington, which was the next closest. I lived in Portland at the time. I had sold the station, just there's no way I could run it in my condition. Matter of fact, I got by recording newscasts for a network and driving Uber. That's what I did to get by for that little bit of time, whatever you have to do, right? So, went to University of Washington Hospital, looking out over Husky Stadium every time they almost won the national championship. I was rooting for them. Every day I wake up, there's Husky Stadium, and I was only there for about a month, and they got me on the list. Wow. Now, you expect to be on the list for a while after you get on the list. I was, they have it ranked from 1 to 7 now. It used to be A, B, C, but now it's 1 to 7. I was a 6, despite all this time. And they're like, we think we're going to put you on this med and we're going to check you in the hospital and that'll move you up to a 2 because we know you need this done. I was going to a Portland Trailblazers playoff game against Denver. I was about to get in the car and I got the call.
We got the heart.
2 days later. 2 days after waiting to get on this for 2 years. Like, this is the perfect match. I'm like, I'm making jokes. I'm like, can I go to the game? Traffic stinks in Portland right now. It's 5 o'clock and, I'll get up there around midnight or do this tomorrow. And they're like, no, you got to come right now.
Wow.
And so I ran home, ran in the house, packed a bag, threw it in the car, drove to Seattle, got there about 9 o'clock. They checked me in, did all the normal procedures, I was in bed at 11. They woke me up at 6. You're on deck. You're up. Went in, laid down on the table. Funny story that I like to tell because I'm a music guy is I'm laying on the table. They're like, you get to pick music. Like whenever you get a biopsy or something, pick music from the background. And I start naming off all this stuff. How about some Sting? And how about this? And how about that? And they're like, no, you're probably only going to get one song. You'll be out. Within
you're thinking entire album.
Yeah.
Can I get Dark Side of the Moon?
Well, here's the thing. You didn't know this, but the song I picked was Comfortably Numb. So you imagine laying there.
That's perfect.
Hello, is there anybody in
there?
Right.
And you're falling asleep to that.
There's great pain you are receding.
Yeah.
And
wow.
So I was receding literally as he's singing that. And I woke up the next day about 24 hours later. The tube was still in. They normally have it out by the time you wake up, but they say it's going to be 48 to 72 hours. I woke up like it was a normal day. I always wake up early in the morning. I woke up and I'm kind of moving around. I fully realized what had happened.
Yeah.
And I woke up and my daughter, I was supposed to go, by the way, after the game, I was supposed to get on a plane and fly to DC to watch my daughter graduate law school.
Wow.
At George Mason University. And I called her, of course, and I said, hey, I got to go to the hospital right now. They're like, you're getting a transplant. You want me to not walk? I'm like, no, go walk. And my son, who was an EDM DJ in LA, flew up to be with me. So he got there just before I went under. I got to see my son for a few minutes. When I woke up, she was about to graduate. So, they finally get the tube out. I'm laying there, still really not in motion yet. My brain, I feel like somebody put racehorses in my chest after the new heart.
Yeah.
Everything was working. Like everything's moving.
Like
my brain's moving 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. You got all this heart pumping everywhere.
But I still got stuff coming out of me all over, and I'm kind of tied down to the bed because they don't want you to wake up and freak out and start pulling on stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So, anyways, and at 10 o'clock that morning, I woke up at 6. At 10 o'clock that morning, my son, because it's East Coast, West Coast, they graduated at like 1 in the afternoon. My son was holding a tablet over my head, and I got to see my daughter walk after all, even after the transplant. I couldn't really speak much yet because there were some issues with the vocal cords when they pulled the tube out. But
How long ago was this?
2019, I got the transplant. Matter of fact, opening day, it's going to be fun for me. Opening day is my 5th year anniversary of the transplant. May 9th is my transplant day.
Well, that's a great transition. So May 9th of this year is opening day for the New Jersey Jackals. But check this out. So tell me about the book, My Rock and Roll Heart Transplant Journey.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I'd always wanted to write. I'd always thought it would be about the radio journey, about the being on the air.
Yeah.
There are many stories. That's another story for another day. But, I got the motivation, while I was recovering and such, to write a book. And it's not War and Peace. It's just a basic breakdown of what happened.
Yeah.
I wrote it more for other transplant patients to know the real story of how you get there, what things make you sick,
what to
sometimes,
expect,
and then what is the real expectations. The doctors are always going to, most doctors won't tell you the struggles that you're going to have afterwards. Now, I was lucky again, the rest of my body was in good shape. They had me on my feet 24 hours after transplant because they don't want you to get blood clots, especially in your legs, because that can shut everything down. So they keep these things on your legs that, pump your legs to make sure your blood's flowing. In 24 hours, you got all the stuff hooked to you, you got your IV and whatever else. And, I walked 50 feet the first day. And then the next day, 100 feet. And the next day, and, within a week, I'm walking all the way around the ward,
Wow.
And then they have you trying a flight of steps and things like that. So,
do you talk about that in here?
But all of that, the whole journey from how and why I got sick, all the way to, a year, about 6 months after transplant.
Wow. And it's available on Amazon.
You can get it on Amazon, and it's pretty inexpensive. I did really write it more for other transplant patients, but a lot of people have found their own inspiration in the story. Yeah. And you can use that however you like, but Well,
here you are. Here
and
you are,
now, yeah, how about that?
3-4 years later,
Transformation from radio to baseball.
and now you're managing a baseball team.
I'm managing a baseball team, yeah, professional.
And now you're closer. Your kids are still in DC?
My daughter, actually, this is a crazy thing. My daughter's a lawyer, 5'7", 110 pounds maybe. She's also a professional women's wrestler.
What?
And she wrestles in this area too. She wrestles for a couple of different groups. She
Let
goes
us
by
know.
the name
Go and cover it.
of Journey Burke.
Journey Burke.
Journey Burke is my daughter, so you can look her up on your Instagram or whatever social media. And that's my daughter. She is.
We'll put her little Instagram tag under here. Yeah,
exactly. Journey Burke.
Well, let me know next time she's around. We'll go and cover her.
She's actually tomorrow night in Ridgefield Park.
Really?
A place called the Mecca.
Are you going to see her?
Yes. I've only gotten to see her a few times because last year I was in Wilmington. She's only been doing it about a year.
Send me a picture and we'll post a picture.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely send me a picture.
Yeah.
So here we are. So May 9th is your anniversary.
5th year transplant anniversary. They call it heart anniversary.
And your opening day, heart anniversary.
Yes.
And your opening day. Boy, how poetic is that?
Yeah.
That you would never have been able to write.
No, exactly. So much of this, you could never plan it out if you wanted to. That has worked out the way it has. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many parts of the journey. We could spend an hour just talking about that.
Yeah.
But there are so many things that I look back on and say, wow, somebody was pushing me in the right direction. Whatever it is you believe,
God's got you.
Yeah, exactly. But there is a higher power. There's no question.
Yeah. All right. So now, last year, I know you weren't here yet.
Right.
So last year, looking at we had some friends that had sent us pictures. Last year, the attendance was not where anybody was hoping it was going to be. And I know, listen, I grew up, I know a lot of you guys that are listening. And again, sometimes I have to say, when I say guys, I mean people. Everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just.
I understand.
And everybody gets it. So.
Right.
But, a lot of people are, when you hear Patterson, it just has a negative connotation. And I have to tell you, if you haven't seen the episode with Mayor Sag, take a look at it, because some of the things that he's done over his past 4 or 5 years have been amazing. Hinchcliffe being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a safe area. It's well lit. It's right on the falls. It's right next to the falls. You can make a whole day of it.
Yes.
Spend the day at the falls.
We have the Patterson Museum, and then the falls, and then now the Negro League Museum, and the ballpark.
Yeah, it's a whole event, and what they're doing with the falls, they're going to have a whole river walk, and we're going to cover that as well. And how often? I know I saw fireworks in the picture. Is that a thing? How often do they do the fireworks?
Last year they did more fireworks that weren't well attended. This year we're going to take a little step back, and we're looking at 2 or 3 fireworks during the course of the season. We're going to announce our full promotional schedule here very soon.
Oh, good. And we'll post it. We'll make sure everybody gets it.
And so you'll see all the dates. And if those go well, we may add more fireworks into the season. But after last year, we realized as a business, we have to take a step back to move forward.
Right.
So what I've done as a GM is literally that. Took a step back, looked at everything that we did correctly, and the things that didn't happen the way we wanted them to.
Right.
I'm not going to blame it. There's no blame here. It's about moving forward.
You're learning.
It's all about moving this team forward. Yeah. Everything we do from this point on is about today, tomorrow, the next. That even goes back to radio. When I was a rookie jock, we were always taught you don't talk about the song before, you talk about what's coming up.
Right.
The next thing. It's always about forward motion. And we're the same way with this baseball team. It's always going to be about forward motion, the next thing we're going to do.
Well, as a Yankee fan, that's all we keep looking at. What's going to happen next year?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I know they're building a good team, and so you're pretty much the Cashman of the Jackals. Right?
I don't know. Is that a good thing?
Well, I know one of the things that
Mike Elias, maybe. He's rebuilt the Orioles. Maybe something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, right. He did a great job down there. He did. One of the things that we want to do at the Towncast is we want to encourage everybody to come out, check out a game. I mean, there's not, to me, major league players, there's always that stigma of, oh, well, he had a great year because it's a contract year.
Right.
When you get to the minor leagues, you're watching kids play because A, they love the game, but B, they just putting everything they have into it because of the hope of maybe being scouted or maybe getting up to the next level.
And one of the positive things about last year's team, everybody wants to talk about the negatives and the things that happened off the field and in the stands. First of all, we can say there were no incidents in the stands, zero crime around the ballpark, any Jackals game last year, none. But on the field, Bobby Jones built an amazing team that broke Frontier League records for home runs and stolen bases.
Really?
Yeah, so think about it. You got a team with power and speed.
Nice.
And good pitching. So, I mean, that's how we ended up tied for the best record in the league.
Right.
So this team had a lot of positives, and that part will absolutely continue moving forward.
You retained a lot of the same players?
Yeah, I mean, we got some new guys coming in too that are going to blow you away. We can't talk about all the signings yet.
Yeah.
But we will be talking about it as we get closer to the season.
Are they going to be posted on your website?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I can talk about Miguel Gomez, who they call Little Panda. And people are like, why do they call him Little Panda? It's because Bruce Bochy, he played for the Giants for a little while, called him Little Panda because Pablo Sandoval was Big Panda.
Right.
And so he thought he related him to be a player like a lot like Pablo Sandoval.
And you guys, that's...
And he's signed, sealed, delivered. He'll be playing for the Jackals this year.
So what's the website? Because I want people to track you guys.
It's jackals.com. It's very simple.
Not www.jackals.com. And Jackals is JACKALS.
ALS.
It's not on there. It's not on there. That I knew how to spell.
NJ.
So it's jackals.com, and you can see the letter from the GM. He shares a lot of what happened last year, what's happening this year. You could look at the schedule, and let's talk about. I know you guys did some great stuff with the pricing.
Yeah, there are two things. One of the first things I did when I got here was ask the fans who were coming out to those games toward the end of the year, what is it that you would like to see improve? What can we do better? And when I met with the stadium for the first time, I said, what is it that we can do better? And first and foremost, we lowered ticket prices. They were 20 and 17. Now they're going to be 15 and 12 as the regular prices. Plus there's other opportunities. Sundays are going to be $5 games, family day.
Really?
$5 on Sunday for any seat in the house.
Really?
Yeah.
Any seat in the house?
Yeah.
Listen.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Any seat in the bowl. There are special seats.
Oh,
We're going to have corporate boxes and things like that at the field level.
You've got
but for $5, you can sit anywhere in the bowl.
Wow. And that's going to be on your website. People can check that out.
That is correct. We're tweaking the schedule just a little bit. It is what it is. We're just trying to get all the game times from the opposing teams for the away games, and we'll have an updated schedule coming soon for all the games, so you know when to watch them, if they're on the road, and stuff like that. We've also, biggest complaint was parking. The city parking authority runs that along with the stadium. So it's not a Jackals thing, and Jackals never made a penny from that. We've come to an agreement. They're going to cut that $15 price to $7 if you want to park in the garage. And even better than that, we have two other parking areas. One is the Vista Terrace up the hill, which, by the way, we're going to have a community day where the mayor's going to send out some trucks. We're working with Star of Hope. We're going to have players there, and we're going to clean up that area, repaint the parking lines. Right now, it has a sign in front of it that says, and I love what it says. I didn't know if it was 420 when they wrote it, but the highest park in Patterson. So,
really?
Yeah. And I'm like, they must have wrote this at 4:20 in the afternoon. But anyway,
on April 20th.
Yeah, exactly, on April 20th. But anyways, that's going to be a nice area where buses will park. There'll be about 250 available parking spaces up there. We're also working with the Firemen's Benevolent Association, and for $5. And by the way, up there it'll be just $3 to park.
Really?
Yeah. And the Firemen's Benevolent Association on the Falls side of the stadium has a big parking lot. And whenever they're not using it, parking will be available there for $5. And that money will go to the Firemen's Benevolent Association. So we've worked out the parking situation. And once we get to that point where we have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people a game, that would be a good problem to have. We're talking with some people about some shuttles from a couple of different close by areas once we start packing up those areas.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I know one of the things that, because I've been thinking about it, one of the things that we'd like to do as the Towncast is we want to create like a Towncast day where, and we'll have to figure out how to do that, but I want to see the stands packed.
Well, we can do that.
What do you mean?
We can do that with you guys. We have a fundraiser program. You guys are a 501c3.
Yeah.
We have a fundraiser program where any nonprofit organization can purchase their $15 tickets. They can purchase the tickets from us for $9, and then you, to do the fundraiser, can sell them for $15. You keep $6 a ticket.
All right.
You turn yourself a little profit. And if you're the first nonprofit for any game that has 100 people or more, you get the 50-50. And you get a first pitch before the game.
Really?
Yeah. So you can come out and throw a first pitch on Towncast Day.
All right. So we're going to do this, guys. We're going to have Towncast Day. It's 100 tickets.
Yes.
All right. We are going to do this. We got to figure out the day, and we'll work it out. And if we can get a sponsor, we'll get a sponsor to sponsor all the tickets, and then we'll get families, because I'd love to see families that have never had a chance to see a professional baseball game to come. So we're going to work out the details, so stay tuned. And I love everything that you guys are doing. I love that you listen to the fans. The fans, everybody complains.
Right.
It's sometimes you take it with a grain of salt, but other times it's legitimate.
Right. And anybody who had a legitimate argument, a legitimate complaint, I took it to heart. And my team, we brought in a new team of my new ticket team. Antonio and Nick, our new sales team. We have 4 salespeople working on the corporate sales side, just looking to make the fan experience better. We're also bringing in for the city of Patterson, specifically for the city of Patterson. We have some interns that come from colleges, and we're also working with another local high school who already had an internship program available. We would love to see more inner city kids have the opportunity to get their foot in the door. And I'm not talking about working at concessions. That's no different than working at McDonald's or whatever. Right. Not to knock that being a first job. We're giving kids from the city of Patterson, we're officially announcing, Monday will be the official announcement, that we're going to add rising seniors will have the opportunity to become interns for the Jackals and learn the business from the inside.
Really? Front office?
Learn how ticket sales work, learn how marketing works, and that can be a school program where the kids will get some time from school to come
almost like a work study program,
yes.
Instead of going to.
But now you're working in professional baseball, and many people see. One of the complaints
I want to do
that a lot of people make is that in the inner cities, these kids don't see people that look like them,
right,
having the ability to get into professional sports.
Yeah.
This is that opportunity to get your foot in the door. Now, if you're expecting to walk in here and make $50 an hour, no, it's an internship. It doesn't work like that.
You learn, right. Well, it's like you said,
that's how you get there.
When you started at 15 years old at a radio station, you're sleeping on couches.
Yeah, and working for $3.25 an hour. Yeah. But my very first one was in a high school, kind of an internship, where we didn't make any money. We got lunch brought to us because we couldn't eat lunch in the cafeteria, So, yeah.
But it's what an amazing way to get a better understanding of what's happening
on the inside, how to get to that level of what I do. My ticket guy is a local guy from Haledon. And when I interviewed him, I said, what are your long-term goals? He said, I want your job. I said, I love that.
That's great.
I want you to want my job.
Right.
As long as we're working together as a team, when it's my time to, be at a higher level, be an owner, be, working for the Orioles or the Yankees, whatever. When that time comes, I want somebody who knows what they're doing to be able to come take my spot. And that's where it starts with these kids. I think it's very important that we work within the community. We're moving our offices from here in Little Falls to the stadium. Every day that I go out and eat lunch, I don't bring my lunch. And I live in Patterson too, by the way. Those people who are worried about crime, I live in Patterson. That's awesome. But I'll be out there at the local restaurants and bodegas grabbing some lunch. Yeah. I'll be walking the streets. I'm not affected at all, by this stigma, if you will, of crime in that neighborhood. Because I had fans tell me, my daughter works at the Falls and she's been there for 3 years and she's never had a problem. Yeah. That's our neighborhood.
And think about if you go to a Yankee game.
Right, and what are you going to say? You're not going to go to Yankee games?
Right, because it's located in that part of the Bronx.
Right,
yeah. Well, listen, I admire everything that you guys are doing. I love the fact that in our backyard, we have a professional baseball team that we can cheer on. You can bring your family for very little money. You're not spending $200 for a family of 4. And there's food, there's concessions in the stadium, right?
Yes.
People, yeah. So I encourage you guys, May 9th, go to jackals.com and check out the schedule. I know you guys have, packages, different season ticket packages, and we got to support this. If we don't support our own, whether it's small businesses, whether it's local restaurants, whether it's our local jewelry stores and our local baseball team, if we don't support our own, they go away and you can't get them back.
Right, and I want to hear from the fans. Fans, I'm going to tell you, here's my email address. You have any questions, any issues from last year, anything you'd like to talk about, anything, any way you feel like we can help improve this team for this city, jhunt@jackals.com. You can contact me directly. No GM gives you that information.
Yeah, try emailing Cashman.
Yeah, right.
And I tell you, before we started talking, we started recording. He answers. He answered me. He answers people when they email him or when they call the office, and he wants to learn more about people's needs, people's cares. What they're worried about.
We live in a very diverse community. Many different groups have different needs, different hopes on what they can gain out of. And when I say gain, it's not always a financial gain. Out of bringing their family to a game.
Yeah.
Well, one thing you're going to gain is a peaceful, fun, exciting atmosphere.
Well, plus you're outside,
Yeah.
summertime.
And there's going to be tons of prizes and games between the innings and dance-offs and who knows, and we didn't talk about this. It's the biggest promotion of all. Fans are going to have a chance to win a vehicle in a Hit It Here contest. I can't talk about any sponsors or anything like that yet. And what we're going to call back-to-back jacks. Chance to win $5,000 cash if we hit back-to-back jacks in a particular inning. We might say the 6th inning, we draw a name from the fans that are present, and one of those fans will have a chance to win $5,000. And it'll go all the way down to, if you're playing a game on the field, or if we have the strikeout batter, you may win a Chick-fil-A sandwich when you walk out of the ballpark.
Nice.
Those are the kind of things we're bringing back to the Jackals. And that's fun for the fans.
Yeah.
We want the families to have a good time. If a guy goes out with his girlfriend, and I'll even flip it around, she likes baseball and he doesn't, he's still going to have a good time. He might have a couple of beverages, some adult beverages. He might get involved in one of the games. We're going to make it so it's fun for everybody to come out.
Right, and you're certainly going to root. You're certainly going to root for the players that hit back-to-back jacks. Did that happen last year?
We actually won a playoff game where we had back-to-back jacks with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth.
No.
Yes.
See that?
To beat
nothing better than that. Bottom of the ninth win.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's the fun stuff.
Well, listen, we got to take the championship back to New Jersey. Let's bring the championship back to Jersey. You guys play, what did I read? Is it 43 games?
48.
48 games.
48 home games.
Okay.
And one of the things that we've kind of taken as a mantra, I found this cool thing on social media, and we actually put up a post where it said 2023 was the warm-up, 2024, the Jackals take over.
Yes, I love it. So listen, come support the Jackals, jackals.com. Find them on all the social media platforms, right? Instagram, all that stuff.
Yes.
And let's follow them and let's cheer them on. All right? Listen, I wish you a great year. I can't wait. We're going to do Towncast Day.
I love it. And I love the shirt, by the way. I don't know how they get these, but I want one, and fans, you should get one. This is a cool shirt.
Shout out to Shane Romeo, my son, who designed the logo. And maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll have Towncast t-shirts available that day.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's your call, man.
I love it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Listen, support the team, support your local businesses, support one another. All right. Be well, everybody.